need one more?
Huh?
We got 4 out of 7 there now.
That's enough, right? Well, do you count?
I think so.
You count.
Okay.
I voted.
That is right. You count when it really matters. When it's tied. Of course, we can't be tied, I don't think. Dave?
Hi.
Hello, Dave.
How are you?
Good. How are
Hi,
you?
Julie. Oh, warm today.
Yeah.
What for breakfast in the morning?
I'll be at breakfast tomorrow morning.
I'll be there.
Flipping pancakes, or what are you doing?
I managed the grill line since 2002.
Get your fly swatter?
He's good at it.
No fly swatters. That's hope for Southwest District Health.
It's outside, isn't it?
Right?
Yeah, but you swat him.
Like when they tell wineries, hey, you got, bird droppings in your grapes. Yeah, it's outside.
Yeah.
We wash them off. That's those city slickers that don't make it.
Yeah, a little extra fiber didn't hurt you.
I want you to know, Dave, the sacrifice I'm making. I'm working in you guys' booth tomorrow night,
Oh, yeah?
and I have to be at the airport before 5 o'clock Wednesday morning.
Oh, gee, yeah. You better stay up all night.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pack tonight, because my day tomorrow is totally full from the time I get
That
up.
means you leave here at 3:30. Wow.
I told Alex I'd work several days, but then this trip, I'm going to a Meals on Wheels America conference in Phoenix, and this came up, and so he said, well, at least you can work one day. It's like, well, okay.
Yeah, right? Yeah,
I
exactly.
guess I will.
Every little bit helps. I'm Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. Yeah, they're every night.
Well, good evening, everybody. Good afternoon. This is the scheduled time for a workshop session for the purpose of discussing projects in association with a potential new Caldwell Urban Renewal Allocation Area. And we are here to listen and learn and ask questions. And Mr. Jenkins is going to be our host this evening. Steve, we're over to you already.
You guys aren't playing around. I like it. Thank you so much, Chairman, Commissioners. Really appreciate your time this evening. As I'll go through this project list with you, just to give you a little bit of background and context, I had a chance to sit down with our Public Works Director, Rob McDonald, and we just went through a series of things that we felt might be applicable to a new district that would be focused on more of a specified plan versus a holistic plan as we did previously. As you all know, we had closed out a district, sunset a district, on December 21st, 2022. And as a result of that, this urban renewal project list, a lot of things you'll see tonight kind of focus on what we couldn't get to in the previous plan. So those things are listed, but I'll provide a little more detail as I go through some of the slides that I have prepared for you tonight. So this is the general area of focus as we look at a potentially new district. It starts at 4th Avenue, jogs over to 5th Avenue, down to Cleveland Boulevard, heads east to 10th and north to Albany Street. Tried to encompass areas that we felt consisted of that nature of blight and kind of what that would look like, and also just the different areas that, as it relates to the proposed plan, that we could integrate and really conduct projects for. So that was certainly something we looked at as we took a stab at this first area of focus. So the first project on our list, and just as a whole, I want to make this more of a interaction and just showcase some things. So this first one's a parking garage, as you can see. So we looked at a few sites that may be appropriate for a parking garage in downtown Caldwell. I had a workshop with City Council not too long ago, back in June, We're gonna have a subsequent workshop to go over the final findings from the parking study. Those findings were updated not too long ago. I won't spill the beans too much, but, I'll share some updates related to that. Parking garage certainly was mentioned in the findings, and, it was an area of focus as they looked at our parking needs for downtown Caldwell. So that was something that I think our plan, this new urban renewal plan could attack, and it could serve as a funding mechanism for that. Any questions so far, Chairman, Commissioners? All right, I'm gonna keep cruising. So I'm gonna go back really quickly. So I'll stay on the parking garage just real briefly, and I'm just showing visuals just so you guys can get an idea of what I might share, verbally, but also just see what it looks like in practicality. So the other one, number 2, is outstanding RFPs. So as you all know, we had some RFP opportunities, requests for proposals, that we had looked at in our previous plan that we just weren't able to get to. So we have some that are under contract that may make it, may not make it, so we want to make sure that the door is open for that. We also have the property that's adjacent to Tillion that was planned for a hotel. Turns out that may not be the case, so we're going to look at a parking lot there temporarily and then a future RFP. So in order to do that, it has to be in an urban renewal district, so this plan would help to accommodate such a opportunity. Also the former City Hall block. So you guys can see in the plan that City Hall is captured on the westerly edge of this on this map here, on this block, right in front of the Albertsons, which is that bigger development on the southwesterly segment of that. So City Hall block could be an RFP in the future. It could be, whatever we might think of it to be. So it's something that just keeps the door open for opportunities there. The third one is the demolition of buildings and structures and remediation. So as we look at different opportunities for downtown, we could accommodate obviously a new parking garage. Maybe there's a property that includes a building. We could have we can demolish that building. We can prepare the site for that, or we can look at future RFPs. It just keeps the door open for that to occur as we prepare sites for future development. The next one, number 4, and I'll switch the slide to this photo. This is just an example of a building owner that had approached our department and wanted to know if there was an opportunity for facade improvement. So previously we had a building facade improvement program, and it was basically kind of a 65-35 split, or it would pay for up to $590 per linear foot of the frontage. So a lot of the buildings that you see downtown have been improved by utilizing this program, and it certainly helps quite a bit to just kickstart activity. We could generate that along Main Street. Main Street is an area that obviously is going to have a lot of focus in the future. A lot of those buildings, building owners just either didn't know it was available or just didn't get to it. So this would provide an opportunity for that to occur in the future. It also included a fire sprinkler incentive. So this was the smaller of 50% of the invoice cost, or $1.50 per square foot of protected area. So that was all a part of the building facade improvement program. All right, Chairman, Commissioners, any questions yet? All right, we'll keep moving. So within the parking study produced by Kimley Horn, their final draft again was submitted on July 19, 2023. They had noted some areas of improvement, some areas that we could focus on. So the first image is actually an area that's on Kimball and Blaine, and there is a lack of pedestrian ramps going north and south. So you can see that they were proposing an improvement there. And then the second picture in the middle is just an area that has some deterioration, so the sidewalk is in pretty bad shape. But this area is important just because it leads to our parking lot on Albany and Kimball, our new parking lot that features 85 parking stalls. So how do we better activate that? We can improve that sidewalk and make it more walkable, make it more congruent with everything else that's happening downtown. So that was an area of focus from the parking study. And then the third image is of a sidewalk that is in the same vicinity, right on Kimball and Albany as well. And it shows you that the sidewalk isn't in alignment with the sidewalk, with just overall. So again, that walkability, making it more attractive for visitors and for citizens of our community is very important. So that was something. And then in talking to Rob McDonald, looking at streetscape and sidewalk improvements, you can see in the first image, it showcases, it's on Blaine Street. It shows one side of the street that is improved, and then the other side of Blaine is not improved. So keeping that synergy more consistent isn't something that we could focus on with this new district. Also, to the other picture here is showing that the newer parking lot in Kimball and Albany, and then also the sidewalk. You can see the sidewalk and how it's not contiguous with the parking lot. That's been an area of focus, I know, from the study, just talking about how making it more inviting could increase the frequency of use for out of town visitors and citizens of Caldwell. So just making sure that all those things are top of mind as we talk about parking and other opportunities downtown. And then this image here is synchronized curb extensions or bulb outs. And again, speaking to Rob McDonald, you can see that Kimball Avenue and Main Street on the southeasterly side is actually improved, but the other corners are not. And then this image to the right shows where all the bulb outs are congruent with one another. So you can see it's a little more of a comprehensive approach, and that would allow us this plan, the improvements for curb gutter, sidewalk, and bulb outs. It would allow us to get to the things that we just weren't able to make a priority, I guess, in the former plan, or just weren't able to get to. And then improve parking lot configurations. So as we look at our parking inventory, mainly from the parking study that was provided, there was some information denotated, but even as we look at as staff talks amongst each other, we talked about if we could expand the footprint of parking lots that we currently have available. Of course, the Indian Creek Steakhouse lot is one that we thought about improving, and maybe we can add a few more stalls here or there, or make some improvements, or do some reconfiguring of that. And then also the parking lot that's adjacent to Chase Mixus, the Tillion project, that is forecasted to be a parking lot. So just going in and making a plan for that, doing a conceptual layout, and actually executing that plan is something that we had talked about for this as well.
Steve, I need to interrupt you here.
Yes.
We're having a little communication trouble. We have somebody going to phone in on Zoom, but there's a little bit of a link up issue, so we're going to take a few minute break till they get that.
No problem at all. Allows me to catch my breath, so I appreciate it.
Kimball and Albany.
Maybe just.
He's talking about the new parking lot that's on.
Right on the other
side of the track.
on the other side of the track, probably right across from that old mill block. I never drive down there, so I don't think I've even seen it.
I just want to make sure that's okay.
I never drive that way, I guess, so I haven't never even seen it.
Kimball,
Kimball and Albany.
Where Weymouth cabinets used to be.
Yeah. I do all the time. I deliver over there, but I don't come right there. I'm over there all the time, every day. So we're on Elgin and Freeport. And
I want to. Parts are written down.
where they had that fire, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right across from Carpenter's.
Live over on Denver. I moved it down there.
Oh, yeah?
I'm done with goat heads. Everything seems to.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID followed by pound.
What is it?
Hire parking people. Well, hire parking.
Yeah.
Enter your participant ID followed by pound. Otherwise, just press pound to continue.
I mean, it's free for all down there.
You are in the meeting now. There is one other participant in the meeting. This meeting is being recorded. You are muted. You can mute or unmute yourself by pressing *6. You have been added to the waiting room. You cannot talk or listen until the host. You are muted. You can mute or unmute yourself by pressing *6.
Look at an area.
I think you need to go over, under the underpass, go that way.
You are unmuted.
What's the street over there underneath?
Main.
Main Street goes underneath the overpass,
Goes under.
Main Street.
Go that way.
Back?
Mr. Jenkins? We're good. Thank you. Thanks for your patience.
Absolutely. I'm gonna start over, and if you guys are okay, no, I'm kidding. So, we'll just keep on moving. We'll keep on moving here. So, parking lot reconfiguration, right? We look at our parking inventory to see if maybe there's a way we can squeeze in a few more parking stalls here or there. Maybe there's a way we can redesign it. I know, Kimball and Albany, there's another, parking lot just south of the new one that we built. So there's some parking lots all across downtown that we've looked at to see if maybe there's a way we can better design it and make it more efficient. And then the Chase Mixes, that property, that Tillian site, the adjacent property, we talked about a parking lot there in the interim. Okay, so this is more on the amenity side of things. These next two, opportunities within our plan. We had talked a little bit about a playground downtown to go along with our musical, park that's downtown, and, maybe a theme playground of some kind. So again, just adding another amenity downtown and what possibilities there could be for something like that. Number 9 is Festival Street and 7th Avenue Extension redesign and construction. So we'll talk a little bit more about Festival Street and the reallocation of funding for that. But as it relates to the new plan, perhaps there's a way to put that back on the radar for Festival Street to be built out. So just talked about a little bit about that plan overall and kind of just working through the financing for that opportunity. Then number 10 is entryway and gateway signage. This is also tied to the amenities that could come downtown. Looked at a number of gateway signs. I know Kimball and Blaine is kind of an entryway for downtown, but we thought it might be neat to have something like that that could feature Caldwell, have a little more prominence to the entrance as you come into downtown. We looked at wayfinding. You could add kiosks, you could add additional signs, you could add different things to build off the momentum that Destination Caldwell is helping us to integrate as it relates to wayfinding. And then I think I have just two more. This one pertains to lighting, and security cameras. So as it relates to parking lots and of course making those more accessible, especially on the periphery of downtown, what was recommended in the parking study and what we've seen on the front lines is that lighting could be improved. In talking to different businesses, especially businesses that have younger staff members or even female staff just walking across the train tracks or different things like that at night has become a concern. So I think the lighting and security cameras would certainly help to make it, again, more inviting. And then we've had some periodic issues with graffiti on the 10th Avenue underpass downtown near the movie theater. So looking at ways to add more surveillance downtown, just holistically, I think would be to our benefit as we move forward with development opportunities. And then the last one is paid parking infrastructure. So this could pertain to new equipment, signage. It could pertain to parking lot redesigns, of course, and then landscaping. So this could be something that we look at as our paid parking plan that we hope will hopefully be approved by in a future city council meeting as we move forward with our objectives and different things. And the paid parking management group looks at how they can analyze a more efficient parking system for downtown. Maybe there's ways to improve these areas with funding from this new urban renewal district with equipment and also the landscaping. We always deal with the weeds and maintenance and things like that. Maybe we could just make it less, more of a kind of hardscape or those types of things downtown, just to make it something that we don't have to attend to as frequently as we have been. And with that, that's kind of just a brief update on some of the projects that we had envisioned on the forefront. I just wanted to open it up for any questions or discussion about any of the things that were mentioned tonight.
Thanks, Stephen. Questions?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Doty?
So in the future, if this were, and not only this one, but our other one that's also coming into effect, I'd like a way for the public to also reach out and give their input of what they think is important, even if they start with the list that you provided, which is a good list. There may be some ideas out there we're just unaware of. So I'd like a way for the public to chime in on that too, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Chairman,
Mr. Moore?
I like the idea of the revitalization and different ideas of existing parking, paid parking, parking enforcement. I think everybody wants to jump to the home run parking garage and, $50 million or whatever it could cost, and the cash flow side of that, liability with that. So I think we're on the right path.
Mr. Chair.
Ms. Wolbert?
Steve, do we have a copy of that in our packet? I didn't notice.
Chairman, Commissioners, I unfortunately did not provide one. I'm happy to share it after this meeting, just to give you a breakdown. I didn't include all the images were just kind of a snapshot of some of the things listed. What I'll do is provide the paper copy.
Yeah.
So y'all can see the list and the breakdown of, how they're numbered and whatnot, so.
Steve and Rob, what didn't make the list that should be on the list? And then I will ask my colleagues the same question. What's not on the list that should be on the list, or at least up for consideration?
Mr. Chairman, that's a great question. From an infrastructure standpoint, Stephen and I kind of went through and brainstormed the things that we felt like were the most obvious, but there could be some less obvious things like maybe utility relocation, possibly utility upsizing. We have a pretty robust water and sewer system downtown, but if we happen to get some significant or different user that had special requirements or something like that, it could have an impact on the infrastructure, or it could obligate, some water lines to be upsized or something like that. There may be utilities. I know a lot of the overhead power we're already pushing underground. I don't know within the limits of this area if there's other overhead utilities in some of this area that we may want to look at. Those are some of the things that come to mind. The other thing that we talked about, and I don't think you touched on this, but several years back, we repaved downtown Main Street from 5th to Kimball, and then 7th Avenue and Arthur. And since we were doing that sewer line in there back then, it was all bad asphalt, and so we ended up just repaving the whole thing. There may come a time where we want to repave Kimball Street, which is old asphalt, and then maybe over on 9th around the movie theater and just get all the asphalt in a like new condition, instead of relying on the asphalt that's been chip sealed several times and now has a very parabolic shape to it when you're parking down against the curb. So those are some of the thoughts I have.
And Chairman, Commissioners, thank you, Rob, for clarifying that. Actually, I do have that as number 6. I mistakenly skipped over it, so thank you for mentioning that. And just to clarify, this list is just a really good, hopefully a decent start for us, but some of these may be, touched on during this proposed plan if it moves forward. But we have to put, according to urban renewal law, have to put everything that we might envision in the plan. So just making sure that we touch upon kind of our desired wish list and of things that we may get to, but there's a possibility that we don't get to all of them. So it might be one of those where you just have to make sure to put it in just in case kind of deal. So I would say that, generally speaking, we've touched upon all of them. I think for me, going through the previous plan, I know the remediation of sites that we have under our possession is pretty important just to move these projects forward. I think we now have a pretty firm process as to the flow chart of how those things might come about with the surveying and environmental work, and obviously the contacts for the groups that we've worked with on certain properties downtown. So I think there's a process of efficiency that we can move forward with in the future that we've established during this last plan. So I think I pretty much hit all the things that I would foresee us looking at doing.
Other questions? How did we come up with that particular footprint?
Well, Chairman, we looked at very site specific, more of a specific focus downtown. As we were going through the downtown core and looking at the areas that we felt could use the improvement, we kind of broadened our horizons a little bit. Initially, as it relates to a parking structure, that was kind of the immediate thought, is we could have an urban renewal district to really build on some of the momentum from the parking study and obviously our paid parking plan that we hope to initiate in the near future. So that would be a real strong focal point for us. But as we looked around the downtown core, we saw different areas that would need the assistance, and also the RFPs and, you know, where those were placed downtown. So just adding to this, going off of this list and looking at what we couldn't get to in the previous plan, it kept getting a little bigger on us. But we didn't want to make it too large where it would lose some of that specificity. So we just wanted to stay focused on the more immediate things for downtown. This is our front door, so we want to make sure that it's as presentable as it can be, and we're going to leverage all of the resources we can to keep building up our downtown core.
Mm-hmm. Julie, does this have everything that you expected?
Yeah, that was a pretty exhaustive list. And I like the focus on fixing some of the things. You know, you showed the broken down curbs and stuff, and those are just dangerous. You know, they're just dangerous, and it would be nice if we could just get them fixed without having to go into a whole new urban renewal area, but I know funds in the street department are limited.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those are just dangerous.
Mr. Dittenberg, do you have anything to comment on?
That 80.3 acres is the exact same.
Any other questions for Steve? Great, thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners. Appreciate your time.
Mr. Hilty, if we were to take the next step, what is the next step, if that was something that we wanted to entertain?
Maybe aware, establishing an urban renewal. Provides that urban renewal plan is passed. Sort of the implementation. First one would be to declare the area in need. Has always been reviewed by this body as well. But that's kind of the nature. By creating an area.
They're going to have to reestablish that connection with Zoom again, so we will take a little hiatus again.
Goodbye.
This is Dan's breakfast, yeah.
It may not have been on.
tracks are right here, right?
Yeah.
The tracks,
Yeah.
and A-Gem is where?
On Albany, just past Kimball.
Not your job.
Two brown walks side by side. To your right, to your left, more.
Right here?
To your left.
Go this way towards.
Right there. That should be.
Tracks are right there next to it, right? Right, where?
Agent's on the other side of the track, so.
Tracks are.
Yeah, Egypt's on the other side of the tracks on Albany and.
Yeah.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID followed by pound.
Chicago Street is going right. Here.
Yep.
Enter your participant ID followed by pound. Otherwise, just press pound to continue. Please enter the meeting password followed by pound. You have not entered any numbers. Please re-enter the meeting password followed by pound.
Oh, mark it. Yeah.
You have not entered any numbers. Please re-enter the meeting password followed by pound.
Pretty close, yeah. Just in case.
You have not entered any numbers. Goodbye.
Main Street.
Where's Main at?
Here.
Where's the old,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
They walkway underneath is right here.
right.
So that used to be very possible to go all the way out to KSP.
Chuck can't hear anything either.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID. Enter your participant ID followed by pound. Please enter the meeting password.
I don't think it's working for anyone, not just one person. No, but how many you want me to text you?
You have been added to the waiting room. You cannot talk or listen until the host admits you to the meeting. Goodbye.
Yeah, Chuck can't hear you. So do you have a number you want me to tell him to call?
Yeah, another block down.
He's trying to set up a Zoom link
Okay.
properly, and so that link would be in the email now.
We have the added benefit of having lived in this town for a long time and remembering all those things.
That was all, it was, you know,
Yeah.
the boot shop, all the attorney's offices that were there. I mean, that was a part of downtown.
Yep. If you go over as far as 12, there's that.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting.
Arthur, there's a great big empty lot there.
Yeah.
In fact, it had an elevator in the.
Enter your participant ID followed by pound. Otherwise, just press. Please enter the meeting password followed by pound.
I just came down and, told Susan, like for the third time, I said, don't have to have.
You are in the meeting now. There is one other participant in the meeting. You are muted. You can mute or unmute yourself by pressing *6.
Listen.
You have been added to the waiting room. You cannot talk or listen until you are muted. You can mute or unmute yourself by pressing *6.
Revitalize, David. I mean, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I mean, as far as 12,
yeah.
I don't know what that would do to some people, but
You are unmuted.
It's going further than that, but.
I know this, just living where I live on Denver, as it goes that way, the better things get for me. Get down in that area. Not that I'm gonna live there forever, but it's just, it's getting, I can't stand the semi. semis that are parked on the street.
It's in the regular.
All over the place,
All
yeah.
over- and I don't know how kids are ran over, I don't know, Lions Park, it makes it hard to do anything there.
And with semis parked, especially when they're parked too close to a corner,
Yeah.
as I'm going, because I'm going usually down, you gotta go down like Seventh, headed toward, like Chicago, from Freeport, headed toward Chicago.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't
Yeah,
see.
you got pull
You
right out in the
can't-
middle of the road.
Yeah, you gotta get out in the middle of the road at the stop sign to even see if anybody's coming.
Right.
Who are you trying to get in?
Cameron from Clearwater Financial, who has part of the presentation that Raylene was going to do, was gonna. He's presenting. Going to be able to comment.
I thought it was during our meeting, but it shows up here and it's part of this, workshop. Dave, do you want to ask your question now? Did I get Stephen up here?
Yeah.
Mr. Jenkins, we have another question for you here.
Absolutely.
Mr. Moore.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins, just kind of looking at that map there, doing a little bit of reconnaissance on my own and going down through there, to 11th Street, going
Mhm.
under that underpass, that walkway,
Mhm.
under 10th Street. I don't know why we couldn't go across that. I mean, there, as a kid growing up here, that was full of, that was part of downtown Caldwell. There was a lot of business. I think there could be more business clear out to the freeway on the other side of the tracks going towards the freeway with it. I think it just makes sense to even possibly go to 12th, as Julie and I were talking.
This 12th is kind of a main thoroughfare when you're coming down the boulevard and you wanna go to the courthouse, and
It is.
that's got some issues.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, just knowing what was there once upon a time and seeing what could be there, I think it just makes sense to go and utilize that underground walkway as well.
Chairman, Commissioner Moore, thank you for those comments. And yeah, that's exactly what this platform is for tonight, just to talk openly about suggestions and opportunities. Ironically, we've talked about that area quite a bit. I think there's kind of a delicate balance from staff perspective to just make sure that it's not too comprehensive, where we just want more of a snapshot of what we had before, just a smaller footprint. But I think there's mixed and valid points. We made the city had made some improvements on that underpass, of course, and even as you follow Indian Creek, there are some rural development opportunities on 11th and even going to 12th. So that's a great suggestion. I'll certainly take that back to the team and see if maybe we can expand it just ever so slightly out that way. On the westerly side of the boundary, we looked at the natural progression of growth going in that direction as well, which is why we captured some of 4th Avenue, just to make sure that we were at least getting to the edge of it so we could allow private development to push towards Simplot Boulevard and Centennial, kind of that direction. But again, it's just for us, we were following Indian Creek, which to me is really our number one asset in the city, and just making sure that we can accentuate it as much as possible.
Any other questions? Okay, Raylene, are you ready to, present? Well, we have you on as part of the workshop.
I didn't know I
Well-
was supposed to present for the workshop.
It's not, it's in new business, isn't it?
Angie's gonna help us out here.
I don't have any comments to present for the workshop.
Must be in that little bulb out there.
That can't be in the workshop, because it's an action item. You can't have an action item in the workshop.
Not that I'm a- I do not have any comments at this time. And
So sorry to put you on the spot. It was,
Okay.
well, I think we have you coming up in the meeting.
As you know, part of doing an allocation area is we have to do a feasibility study, as Mark did talk about. We are, part of the agenda tonight is to vote on a contract with Clearwater Financial. I did meet with them. That's who, Cameron, that we're talking about. They are willing to do a feasibility study for us, and get it done by September 30th. So that is a pretty tight turnaround. So very quickly, they kind of do the math. They work their way backwards of the base and all of that, whether this area would be feasible. So if we would bring the increment funds in, and if we would be able to actually be able to do everything we want with all these projects. So that's kind of what I have to say.
So Clearwater is the same organization that's working on a study for the new Fire Station 1, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
So, they have prepared a lot. They have great recommendations. They seemed really easy to work with. All of, a couple, Jace, who I've worked with directly with the state treasurer's office and the state controller's office, so I know him with my time with the state. So, a lot of great experience. So.
Okay. Any questions for Ray Lynn? Well,
Chairman, have we worked with Clearwater before, as a city? Right, has anybody worked with them before? Partnered with them?
I'll ask Ray Lynn.
Anybody else other than the city, or?
Has anybody here locally worked with them?
Other than I know with Chief Frawley, I did not ask for any other recommendations, but, we've been working with them since about March. So they've been great to work with the fire department, so.
Great, thanks, Ray Lynn.
Yeah.
With that, I think we will bring this workshop session to a close, and no action was taken, so I don't think we have to close out anything formally. So you are on your own for the next 20 minutes.
Busy week, Dave. Yeah. 5 a.m. on the Park River.